Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of Blue Growth Conference organized by Innovation Norway. My name is Luka Čilić, and I am Assistant Manager in Croatian EY team for consulting and development. For the past few years, EY is providing technical assistance to the Ministry of Transportation, and we have supported development of new transport infrastructure projects, as well as implementation of current ones, whether they are financed from the grants or from the financial instruments. The first day of the conference was really interesting. We saw many exciting projects, good practice examples, and future industry trends. I believe you already made some new connections, developed business opportunities, and potentially you already met your new project partners. Today's thematic sessions is smart ports, a very interesting topic, and a sector which has been under significant influence by the pandemic. Today, it is under pressure to restore pre-pandemic trade levels and to further develop its infrastructure, supply chains, in order to become more resilient for future market disruptions. So I believe we are all excited to hear from our today's speakers, to see their projects, challenges, and experience. Before we start, I just want to remind you that at 11:20 we will have a short coffee break, after which also we'll have a few more presentations and panel discussion. So if you want to ask our speakers some questions, that will be the right time. Also, after the lunch, I would like to invite you to a network collaboration matchmaking event where you can share your experience and also connect with your colleagues from all over Europe. Just a heads up, if we have some technical problems, we will wait a few moments for power to resume. So I would like to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Bartosz Langowski from Gdynia port in Poland.
Okay. Good morning and warm welcome. I'm very glad to be here and to have the opportunity to present to you the vision of the development of the port Gdynia in the area on unmanned platforms and a few thoughts about it. The project which we draw our experience is Maritime for Port Surveillance Systems using mobile unmanned research units, acronym MPSS, and airspace management control system called Anti-Drone. The project MPSS is in the second year of its implementation. Port of Gdynia is a leader of the international consortium, which also includes the Gdańsk University of Technology, Gdynia Maritime University, Norwegian Institute of Water Research, and company Miros AS. Based on the grant agreement signed on the February 2021 between Port of Gdynia and the National Center for Research and Development, the project became the first project carried out by Port of Gdynia with support of funds from the Norwegian financial mechanism in the current perspective. The main goal of the project is the implementation of the unmanned unit on port waters, equipped with a specialized measuring equipment as a tool compatible with currently operating IT systems that will ensure efficiency management of surveillance activities based on the said autonomous units. The system integrates hydrographic measurements, monitoring of physical, chemical properties of water, and enables modeling towards the source of detecting of spills. Our project concept assumed the implementation of measurements using an unmanned unit in a continuous mode. Due to the interdisciplinary nature of the task with properly procedure data, will make it possible to increase the scope of research while maintaining a high level of quality. The project involves the possibility of increasing the level of environment protection and safety in the ports. As a result of the project, reports will be created then to provide essential input for the emerging legislation in the AUV sector. The key value after the completion of the project is the possibility of real research on the behavior of unmanned vessels in ports ducts. Working out the principles of their use in cooperation of many official entities, as well as the possibility of determining the legitimacy of implementing such a solution in the future. Due to the implementation of the monitoring and observation system of port area in Gdynia, the scope of implementation of the European assumption regarding climate protection and protection of the Baltic Sea waters will increase significantly. Implementation of the discussed solution will allow the monitoring of ports with the use of the state-of-the-art unmanned unit. Thanks to the international cooperation, there will be an exchange of experience, knowledge, and technology. This allows for faster and more effective development of the sector of unmanned unit and will positively affect the systemization of legal regulation in this area. The drone was created in this project and it's owned by Maritime technology from Gdynia. It's a Polish company that conducts research and development in the area of technical sciences. In October 2021, the Maritime technology won the tender announced by Port of Gdynia and is now responsible for making the necessary measurements using an unmanned unit. The unit is equipped with special designed systems that allow automatically sampling of water and bottom sediments. It also has a 3D probe and a sonar. During its operation, it collects additional data about pH, depth, water temperature, and salinity. The vessel has the dimension of 2 by 5 meters and weighs around 200 kilos. It's driven by the electric motor and that enables 11 hours of continuous operation. Tasks are performed in autonomous mode, but at all the time, it remains under the supervision of the operator, who can take the control at any time. In November 2021, the first tests of the unmanned unit were conducted in one of the basins in Port of Gdynia. They verified the correctness of the operation of all automated mechanisms used for collecting water samples from various depths and bottom sediment samples. Communication systems were also checked and security protocols were verified. The first measurement session with the use of the unmanned unit was conducted between February and March this year. Water and bottom sediment samples were collected using a hydrodrone at 7 measuring points in port basins. In the same location where samples had been collected in the past with the conventional methods. The test results will be compared to identify possible changes in the condition of water and sediments. The measurement session was attended by the staff of the Gdynia Maritime University and the Maritime Institute, who supervise the sampling process. The collected samples are currently being tested in a laboratory. 3 or more measurement sessions are planned for 2022, 1 for each season. Samples in each measurement session will be collected exactly at the same places, which is possible thanks to RTK system based in Port Gdynia. The next session is spring session next week. It's between 16 and 19 May. Depending on the result we get at the end of the project, we foresee the possibility of permanent use of unmanned unit on a large scale in Polish ports. Currently used autonomous solutions do not have their own regulation and therefore must operate under rules that significantly limit their useful. By conducting a pilot project like Project MPSS, we can have a real impact on the shape of new regulation in this area, which will open new ways for the future. An unmanned surface platform is only one of the elements we develop. We operate both on water and on air. Unmanned aerial vehicles are an important element of Port Gdynia security area. We are dual-purpose civil-military port providing services to NATO under the host national support agreement. Therefore, airspace control is very, very important for us. So what is it about? The system task is to identify drones moving in our space and detect unwanted ones. Therefore, the Port of Gdynia, in cooperation with the Polish Air Navigation Service Agency, through the PANSA UTM digital system, verified the permissions and issues permits to operators to perform drone flights. As a result, we kept constant supervision and record of drones operators. All incidents are recorded and monitored. Based on the risk analysis, strategic points have been determined over which the flights have been banned. It's, for example, the liquid fuel reholding station is banned. It's not open for drones. The risk analysis has also allowed proceed to be put in place to deal with the accidents and unforeseen accidents. The greatest risk we see in unauthorized drone flights, which can pose a high risk of attack or dangerous accidents. To minimize this risk, in cooperation with the Polish company Advanced Protection Systems, we are specializing in the creation of systems to detect and neutralize drones. We have developed the best solution to maintain uninterrupted control, and the airspace belongs to Port Gdynia. The most effective and optimal solution turned out to be the use of radar. In the course of optimization, radar with different parameters such as long range and middle range were restored. We also mapped the airspace to determine points invisible to the radar. Thanks to this, the appropriate position of the radar was determined, taking into account the most critical points for control. The next stage of this project is to construct an integrated system combining all the data from radar in real time and mission plans, flights of reports from drones, which will allow to create an intelligent system based on the machine learning and to cooperate with the operator. The system is expected to automatically adjust the flight grid, taking into account the level of risk and critical points. Such a solution will increase the efficiency of airspace management and significantly increase safety by contributing to the systemization of area, which is in near future will be large scale of use of UAVs in such area as transport, supply of goods, and monitoring. As you know, safety first is the most important aspect when developing drones. The port environment is specific due to the daily unloading and the need to ensure the continuity of the supply chain. This is the reason why it is necessary to secure people and adapt the port infrastructure. In Poland, due to the lack of the regulation in this area, unmanned vessels, it is necessary to ensure control of unmanned vessels in combination with control in the port itself. Here, attention must be paid to risk management and threats following the safety measures. The focus is on the control and management of unmanned vessels. Here it is very important to maintain continuous control and to integrate unmanned vehicles operations into seaport operations. The effectiveness of the system and solution will determine the success of seaport operation to ensuring safety and adapting the infrastructure to realistic can be a competitive disadvantage. Combining the experience of both projects I mentioned, we should aim to integrate the management system of unmanned platform missions. Pilot project like this that we implemented allow us to draw important conclusions. Although some solutions already function in the world, in Poland, we gradually implemented successive levels of sophistication, adjusting our market and reality to new technologies. Someone will say that why we can implement something like this, for example, in Norway. The answer is that our law and infrastructure and development conditions are different. However, the areas that are most important are still the same: safety, control, and effectiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langowski. It's really nice to see how such advanced technology can help you manage the port area, and I believe the project results, we can all benefit from them. Our next speaker is Andrius Sutnikas, a Lithuanian Maritime cluster.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for invitation. Thank you for allowing for me to present here today. The topic I have is kind of complicated, so today I will talk about the smart ports. I put the question mark here in the topic of the presentation because I hope that at least we will be able to agree here in this little team what is the smart port and how we differentiate in between smart port and the stupid port. So hopefully we don't have any of those in Europe anymore. Going with the market size, I would just like to kind of define the scope of the problem. Defining the scope of the problem, I chose to go after one of the well-known corporative companies, Cargotec. You know, this is the company that produce port equipment, so they are very well established in the port digitalization and port equipment market. And what they are identifying that technically the port digitalization market in general is 150 billion. 150 billion is a yearly turnover that is lost due to the lack of the digitalization in the port. So we have we are accounting here different aspects of the port's operations, but where the main focus is of course the delays. We have also infrastructural bottlenecks. So this is quite a sufficient market to be a part of, and there is of course opening up a lot of opportunities for the digital and startup companies to come into the port digitalization area and bring some talent and good ideas into the market. Nevertheless, ports are not only challenged by the digital problems. We of course are challenged with the environmental problems. So where the ports are now should be focusing in terms of digitalization, and where all the main aspects of the digitalizations is that ports, they are actually experiencing the change of the business model. The ports are in the transition period where they are becoming energy hubs. They are not the logistic hubs anymore. They are also energy hubs, and they are also data hubs. So it's very important to have a constructive approach to different aspects of the ports transition into the digitalization. Here I would come from the Green Deal perspective and I try to list the law initiatives or the or the EU directives that are now somehow linked to the port development. And delivering the Green Deal in EU is quite a challenge for the port. So you can see here we have 6 different directives and initiatives listed that ports need to comply in order to apply the EU Green Deal regulation. So what does it mean in general? If we want to comply with the environmental regulations, that brings a lot of infrastructural development into the ports. A lot of this infrastructural development can also be exchanged by digitalization. So we need to look what are the possibilities actually for ports to apply software and IT hardware solutions rather than bringing the very expensive infrastructure projects on board. As an example from our topic today, I will come into what is the situation in the port of Klaipėda in Lithuania. In Lithuania, we are in a way we are lucky to have one port, so there is no internal competition. So Klaipėda port is basically judging and deciding on the port initiatives that are implemented in Lithuania. But nevertheless, this is a big port. This is a comprehensive port with the annual turnover, and I'm of course having the numbers of last year. 46 million tons, so it's quite a significant throughput. It's one of the biggest ports in the area. But in terms of digitalization, we are actually have a lot of aspects where we can improve, but we cannot be, so to say, defining party. So the port itself does not decide on what kind of digitalization aspects or what kind of digitalization projects would be implemented within the port in order to improve the efficiency of operations. Simply because the business model for digitalization is not in place. Port authority is a controlling unit that can suggest you to apply certain procedures or digitalize certain procedures, but everything else is actually decided by the companies, because we have 15 terminals in the port that are operating as private companies. So the software and hardware is not the problem. The problem is consensus that all those companies need to agree to apply one tool and be efficient in terms in all on the scale of the port, not on the scale on one company. And then we need to understand that those 15 companies actually are competitors that want to gain a competitive advantage against his neighbor, and maybe using the same system for all the companies is not necessarily the competitive advantage that they want to have. Still, we tried. In Klaipėda port, we have 4 different digitalization projects in place. So basically, all those systems are linked to so-called port community management system. So it's a digital approach to management of the port community. So first system, Lewis, it's actually the digital system that is providing all the traffic and traffic management information. So you can go there and have all the data about the movement of the ships, the call of the ships, the berths available. So it gives a lot of good planning data. It gives a lot of good planning data, and you can actually be efficient in planning your port calls. KIPIS is something a little bit more unique. KIPIS basically, this is agglomeration of the system, and this system was in place for last 15 years, where you have all the port community connected to manage the logistics process digital. So you have the airport, you have the agents, you have the terminals, you have the ship owners, you have all the public nodes, so-called public nodes like taxes, customs, and etc. in one system, and they can exchange the data in between themselves with no physical interference. This is a very good, efficient way of solving problems or solving the transportation processes. But the point here, I want to come back to the same, that the consensus was actually the major point of that system, because infrastructure and software was not. Because this system became functional after 10 years of the development, and again, not linked to the technology, it was linked to the consensus that they needed to reach within the port. And we have the port GIS information system. Of course, this is the geographical or GIS information that you can also apply in the planning of different infrastructural development. And pilot link. So this is kind of an innovation project where we try to provide piloting system or piloting services remotely. So this is the 4 systems that are in operation in Klaipėda port, and every time we have discussions with our IT group in the cluster, I would ask one question to the Klaipėda port, say, is Klaipėda port smart enough? And the answer would always be no. Because as we see from the scope of the information that I provide you, that's quite a significant port with a lot of investment in the software and infrastructure. So what they do have, they have a lot of data, but they don't have big data. So the difference in between those, that this data is used for the purpose of improving the operations. So when we start to apply IE and we start to apply algorithms to improve our processes based on the fact that we have all the data available, rather than digitally transform, or rather than providing access to digitally transform the the information to digitally send the information to the receiver. So it's not digitalization. It's not defining that the port is smart. It's defining that port has digital tools for data transfer. So trying to get into the topic, I will be fast now. We launched the project together with the ports around Baltic Sea region to really investigate how many smart ports do we really have around Baltic Sea region. I will skip some of this because I want to go to the point. And we build up a drip score. So we build a methodology or the questionnaire, simply saying that we distributed to the ports with 38 different aspects in software, hardware, management, functionality, and technology and information transfer that identifies what are the digitalization practices in your port and what is your status in terms of the digitalization compared to the ports around the Baltic Sea region. So this drip score basically identifies 5 different aspects with the different, of course, criteria, weights on every aspect. First of all, we looked into the management. We looked to understand if the management or the strategy of the ports are digital. So how do you really implement the strategic development in the port and how this is kind of evaluated and audited. Then technology, of course, software, hardware solutions, how many of those, what different platforms, what different technologies do you use, do you apply in the port operations and processes. Human capital, who do you have on board in terms of digitalization, because of course without the human beings the digitalization is not possible to implement. Functionality, so basically this is the aspect how you deliver your digital tools, how you deliver this to the end user, and how actually you use in terms of the improvement on the process of the logistics, and of course information, so how you communicate to your stakeholders. And here we had 37 ports around Baltic Sea region that had that filled into the system and did the self-evaluation process. And basically we specified all the ports into kind of 5 main categories. So analog port, this is what we would call a stupid port, but of course that doesn't provide the digitalization functionalities in the port. Monitoring port, so the port that is applying digital solutions, but it's more like a reviewer. Yes, they try to understand what are the directions for other ports, where they go, and then apply this after it was already tested in the other ports. Adopter, so that's already the port that implements the digital solutions that were tested already in the ports that in other ports. Developer ports, this is the ports that are the ports that developing the solutions by themselves, and of course the smart ports that use the data wisely, and work with the data to improve the logistic processes. So going fast into the conclusions, here I would like you to launch the map. Yes, we developed the map where you can actually look into the type of the ports that we have distributed on the map. So looking into the map, we have good news. In this map, we don't have any stupid ports. But the bad news, we don't have a smart port here as well. I don't know if maybe some of the ports that didn't took the self-evaluation tool and considered to be smart, so they are not on the map. But technically, we have a lot to improve, because out of these 38 ports, most of them are in adopter port specifics. The specifics for the Baltic Sea, you know, Baltic Sea has a very large number of ports. Just in Denmark, they have like 153 ports. So, of course, the size of those ports is a question, and this, of course, affects a lot on the drip score. But we are looking for the smart port. So I would like to invite all the ports here going to our self-evaluation tool, and maybe after this conference we will have a smart port on board. But it's very important, of course, to define what is the smart port, and if our drip score can relevantly represent the smart port functionality. So thank you very much for the attention. I hope this was value, and please use our map for self-evaluation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sutnikas, for providing a good insight into digital transformation of ports and making them smarter. So it's not all about having big, expensive infrastructure projects. You can also manage it by optimization, IT tools, and good data management. Our next speaker is Professor Eden Mamut from Black Sea University's network in Romania.
Good morning again. So it is a great honor to participate to this session and to have this opportunity to, let's say, propose different ways of addressing the same issue, how smart or how a port could become smarter. So the Black Sea Universities Network is a network of inter-university cooperation, so it has been established in 1998. At present, there are 120 universities from 12 countries that are cooperating under the frame of this network. And there are different activities that are developed, of course, in the partnership between the universities and different other partners, actors, and different other institutions. So the topic that I would like to draw your attention is the aspect that the port is smarter not only because has a specific infrastructure of information technologies and communication, not because is using different types of data, but is smarter for building something much beyond than just business. So from that perspective, I would like to draw your attention also to the cultural dimension of the ports and their activities. So why cultural dimension? Because it was always there. So for centuries, when we are talking about ports, we are talking about exchanges of values and about cooperation between people and communities. So from that perspective, we could say that being here in Greece, we have to mention the let's say, the legend of Golden Fleece, and at the same time, we have to mention that Argos and Argonauts is in our conscience as one of the very fundamental defining values of human beings, the fascination to explore and to discover. So, yes, of course, this fascination was not only present in this part of the world. There were many other parts where mankind did the same thing. But the Greeks, they have something very special. They named it. They used some, let's say, channels of communication over the centuries, the Iliada and Odyssey, and in this way it became a common value. So, and this is extremely important for this whole region. So at the same time, we have to mention also an important aspect. If we looked into this map, we could see the western part of Europe that is from one side, very connected with different ports all around the shore of the Baltic, starting and Northern Sea and down to the Mediterranean. But also, there is a very important area of canals, of inland transport that had a very important contribution and had a very significant added value to, of course, economical development from one side, but also for binding and connecting and homogenizing, let's say, the cooperation between the communities. So looking into, let's say, the value of Danube and the southeast part of Europe, of course, there were different histories, there were different types of evolutions, but we could also notice the lack of such an infrastructure of networking, let's say, communication aspects. Of course, another aspect that we have to put on the table when we are discussing about smart and smartness of ports is about the environment. So the Danube is one of the rivers that brings let's say, the huge catchment and drainage area, and all these pollutants are brought to the Black Sea. And of course, on the way towards Black Sea, all these pollutants coming from the northern part of Europe, the central part of Europe, and then southeast, all these pollutants are extremely, how can I say, influencing, pushing on the environmental aspects. So from that perspective, of course, from one side or with one eye, we are, let's say, searching for having more and more traffic, we have more and more cargo within and connected to these ports. But on the other side, we have to say, do we really need that cargo? Because the, let's say, intensification of transport means at the same time also a very significant impact on the environment, an environment that is extremely sensitive. So when we started this approach, so about 1 year ago, to aggregate a concept for, let's say, port cities in the Istro-Pontic space. Of course, we looked starting from, let's say, middle Danube, from the ports that are located along the Danube, and of course the ports along the western side of the Black Sea, just as a geographical approach, just as a, let's say, aspect of binding to some sort of a cultural, let's say, blanket. In reality, the Istro-Pontic space cannot be just limited towards east or towards west, and this is extremely important that this concept, we could say, that has a much, let's say, broader dimension. Of course, we have to look to the cultural dimension, and when we say cultural dimension, the first thing we move and look towards the museums, and we have identified along this space just some of the significant places that are well known for different type of records and artifacts that are, let's say, used in this area, but also the history of the region with the historical sites and different aspects. So all this approach is in the, let's say, an attempt to try to define a cultural route for, let's say, possible certification aspects and other types of connectivities. There are, of course, plenty of opportunities, and we are facing that also, starting from, let's say, the national points of view along this region, but also from European point of view. There is a very important attention to the Danube as a possible future corridor that could be like a backbone or a pillar for the coming decades in Europe, offering different types of pathways from logistical point of view, from transport point of view, but also, as I mentioned, from cultural point of view for defining the future of Europe in the coming decades. Of course, there are many challenges, just looking to the climate change aspect and to the predictions in the coming 50 to 100 years, what is going to happen with the shorelines along the Black Sea and Danube due to the climate change and the rise of water level. We could say that, of course, not tomorrow, but in the decades that will come, we shall see that the Danube Delta will look not the same. It will be step by step a saltmaster water area, an estuary. There are many other changes that will happen along the Danube Valley, and many of the ports of the region, they will have to redefine and to reinvent themselves. So it is a need for let's say, an evolution based on science, and to, let's say, aggregate the knowledge and to develop a very strong base for science evidence for preparing different types of decisions. So in the approach that we evaluated, of course, we looked into what kind of opportunities are from the perspective of, let's say, connectivity of the ports of this area. And we have seen that there are, of course, on paper, different aspects that could be extremely valuable, but all of them depends on the let's say, geopolitical evolutions. There are aspects like location. So, for instance, identifying the way in which Constanța port, but when I say Constanța port, I'm talking also to those ports that are connected via the Black Sea and the Danube. There are very important aspects regarding the location. There are aspects related to the infrastructure. For instance, the port of Constanța is an infrastructure that has been developed in almost 1 century of investments that has been done in this port, being developed as, let's say, state-of-art, let's say, infrastructure with all required facilities for accommodating any kind of cargo that might be connected to this. And the fundamental new aspect is the connectivity via this Black Sea Danube canal that offers a very important advantage to the port of Constanța. So just looking on the alternative analysis concerning the position of the port of Constanța comparing to, let's say, Varna, Piraeus, and Trieste, we could see that for all the other ports, we have to take into consideration 2 types of hinterland connectivities, by road and by rail. And the uniqueness of the Constanța port is that we are adding the connectivity via the Danube inland waterways, which is not only a very important way of transport, but also is the lowest carbon footprint logistical connectivity. The other aspect that we wanted to draw the attention is the connectivity between the city and the port. We recently closed a project for sustainability of port cities around Europe, and we have identified the pathways for implementing different type of concepts on how to aggregate the interest of the community on one side, on the other side of the port, and at the same time to identify different options for let's say greening the port, to reduce the impact on the environment, to promote renewable energy like wind and solar, and how these kind of dimensions of the port could have an important added value in the future development of the value chains. So we have to come back to the fundamental aspects. What makes a port smart, as the previous speaker was raising. So we have to look to the wisdom coming from the ancient Greeks. Panta rei. So what means that a port is smart? Is smart if allows to flow properly the cargoes and different type of commodities via those ports without harming them and facilitating the best possible, let's say, flow and the best possible connectivities around. So based on that, in 1996, Professor Adrian Bejan, who was born in Galați in Romania, but he's a professor at Duke University, demonstrated that this might be a fundamental principle of evolution of systems, and particularly it may be applied in transport and logistics. Of course, for this we need digital infrastructures, and here we have also the solution of bringing together different types of systems and aggregating them into a large integrated platform, facilitating the one-point access for end users and to connect with different other sources and data. Of course, we need to promote, and we are implementing different projects for modeling aspects, but more and more it is fundamental to promote the ecosystem service approach and to find out up to where the ports can evolve in compliance with the adaptability of the surrounding ecosystems in that. So from that perspective, the next period is like that. For this reason, we defined a very important project that we are implementing together with a large number of actors, is the Dobroja Blue Bay Living Laboratory, centered on the Danube Black Sea Canal, where we are bringing not only the ports and let's say, operators around this, but we are bringing also the local communities around this and to develop this in an integrated approach. So there are many strategic projects. We could discuss about all of them. So these are related to circular economy, to different aspects. We are, let's say, identifying important aspects on hydrogen technology. Just some of them are connected with renewables, but particularly for the Port of Constanța, due to the evaluation that we made, it is also very important the possibility of a terminal for bringing hydrogen from renewables from different other parts of the world in this area. And of course, we can discuss a lot, but I would like to thank you, and I don't want to make nervous Luka for using too much of this time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Mamut, for not just bringing the business case of the ports, but also its potential impact on environment, culture, and community. Our next speaker is Professor Dimitrios Liridis from National Technical University of Athens.
Morning, everybody, and I'm so glad I am here. I have to apologize beforehand because I have to leave earlier before the panel discussion, so I don't know what the moderator will decide. If you have any questions regarding this presentation, you may either send them to me via email or you may have them after the presentation, whatever you wish. Okay, thank you very much. After what we have heard this morning, I would like to just, let's say, give a more applied approach based on the principles developed a little bit earlier. So I would like to discuss some of the challenges modern ports have beforehand due to the various regulations as well. Discuss what is the holistic energy port upgrade, a little bit discussion about the regulation, and then the case study which is we're discussing today. So what are the modern port challenges? One of the biggest problems is that many of these ports are in a small area, especially if you look at the port of Piraeus. It's concentrated in the basin of Athens with mountains around, so it's also near a very large urban center, and the local topography does not allow the air emissions to escape. And apart from the visible pollution, which is the particulate matters, you also have the CO2, the NOx emissions, and you also have noise. One of the major problems is that the generators are operating while the vessel is at the port, and despite the regulations and guidelines, most of these generators also work off their most efficient point, sometimes at 20% of their maximum continuous rating. So they're not even efficiently working. And then there, of course, the problem of vessels calling at these ports. We have here the energy requirements of various vessels when they are berthed at the port, and they range from very small energy requirements from 300 to 300 kilovolt amperes to 3 megavolt amperes for bulk container carriers, ro-ro vessels, and they can range up to 10 to 20 megavolt amperes for large cruise vessels, only for their hotel accommodation when they are berthed at the port. And if you imagine for a port like Piraeus, where you have at the same time in the summer 4 or 5 of these ships, that means that the port will need an additional 100 megawatts, 60 to 100 megawatts additional power for these vessels. Here we have taken down for all major European ports, including those of the colonies, energy requirements. This has been done in NTUA in cooperation with ETH in Zurich, and we have taken down all energy requirements, and not only this, but for example, I have here the electricity demand curves for some of the ports. I think these are for the port of Piraeus. For each of the ports in Greece, for example, we have how much the vessels stay in each port and how much energy they would need when they are berthed. And we have taken down for every of these ports these curves. This is an interactive map, but it takes a long time to load, something like 4 or 5 minutes, so I cannot do it online here. But I have taken some pictures for you to see. So these are some of the major ports, and then there are other major problems, and then there are other problems that come from, except for the onshore power supply for vessels operating at the port, you also need to account for electric bunkering, that is charging vessels that may be electric in the near future, at least in the south, electric vehicle charging stations that operate at the port, and then you may also need to use batteries for storage or for peak saving of excess energy that is produced, for example, from renewable energy sources. And all these energy sources or energy consumers have to be operating at the port at the same time. Then you have the port that are essentially a microgrid, and we need to have a reduced environmental footprint for the port. the ports may act as self-producers if they have renewable energy sources installed. Things about the digital transformation that have been also mentioned earlier. The ports may need to have a two-way energy flow to the city grid and from the city grid. And of course, there are contingencies that the port grid may need to account for. In a sense, as it was mentioned also by Andrius, I think in the second presentation, the ports are becoming energy hubs, and they could also in the future participate in the energy market through the ETS, that is trading also electricity in order to gain the best pricing for the electricity that they buy. And what is the aim now for such a port? The aim is to have a holistic energy upgrade of the platform that operates the energy flow in the port. And this is why we have a team with a university and some industrial partners, Hydrus, which is a marine consultant, PurOceans, that is an electric engineering consultant, and Gates civil engineers. And we have developed a platform that accounts for all energy consumptions in the port and all energy sources in the port, and they integrate this flow of energy in one platform that optimizes the energy flow. For example, consuming energy for reefer containers, or take energy from the regenerative crane braking, or take power from the renewable energy sources, take power from the grid, give power to vessels, give power to parked vehicles, to vessels parked, and then optimize the energy flow, including, for example, lighting. And then the same platform can also participate in the energy market, allow the port to participate in the energy market, and optimize the contracts, smart contracts, with the energy companies. So the idea is to holistically upgrade the entire energy platform of the port in order to account for this this new energy management system, and we call this plan the Proteus plan. Now, we have applied this plan in various stages. We started from a pilot application for simple cold ironing in the port of Kyllini. It's a pilot application that was funded a few years ago from the European Union, the Connecting Europe facility, and it constructed the first cold ironing pilot application in a small comprehensive port in Greece. And this allowed us to realize what are the challenges in such an application, what are the problems and what are the opportunities. And then we had a series of similar actions, like the E-Link action, where we study the cold ironing for various ports in the East Med and in the West Med. We study the ports of Rafina, which is a major ferry port, the port of Piraeus, the port of Constanza, the port of Burgas in Bulgaria, the port of Leixões in Portugal, Valencia. Quite a few European ports are engaged in this project. We have the ALFION action, which is the most advanced of all, and this is the one I'm discussing today, which is applied at the port of Igoumenitsa and develops this platform, which includes, among other things, the onshore power supply to the vessels berthed up the port. And of course, our team participates in various fora in the European Union and in standardization organizations like IEEE with my colleague Professor John Prousalidis. And we try to promote the onshore power supply standardization and regulations in many areas in the EU. And we have also done a lot of work regarding the energy requirements of ports with the Regulatory Authority of Greece and other institutions. There are serious social and environmental benefits from an energy upgrade, from reduction of pollution and noise to the most efficient use of energy and reduction of energy consumption, and also the integration of renewable energy sources in the energy mix. So there are apparent and easy to understand benefits, but there are also economic benefits due to the cost savings. And we believe this is a win-win situation, both for the ports and for shipping in general. And these interventions increase the trade activity in the port competitiveness, but it also increases the employment in the port, the integration of new technologies and innovation in the port's market. The benefits are easy to prove. We can see here a very important graph. The blue bars are the bars that give the emissions from shipping in various various gaseous emissions, CO2, NOx, SOx, and particulate matters. And we see, with respect to ships, what is the improvement on land-based operations from 2016 to 2019. The red bar is 2016, the green bar is 2019, and we see the improvement. But we still see how much ports and account still for the emissions. So that means that in ports we need to have serious measures to reduce their environmental footprint. You have seen, you know most probably the technical problems, you can realize the technical problems, and you can also see problems like the ones we had today, like the blackout. I can tell you that the port of Igoumenitsa that I was referring to today has a grid that has a capacity of 3 megawatts. And if you have a cruise vessel with 10 megawatts and you need to plug it in at the network, this will present a significant problem. Normally, you synchronize the vessel to the grid network of the port, but in cases like this, where the city may be another 4 megawatts, normally you have to synchronize the city and the port grid to the vessel, which has a lot more energy requirement. And it's not easy, because the easiest way to do it is with blackout and then plug in, the way it's done at the bridges at the airport. If you see sometimes when the plane reaches the bridge, you see a small blackout. This is the cold ironing of the plane on the bridge. You need to have a very innovative and efficient mechanism to synchronize the plug-in when you have large energy requirements. And this is not easy. But most of the problems, I can tell you, arise from the regulations. And we're talking about the regulations regarding emission reduction, which are complicated and a lot, and also the regulations regarding that come from the Fit for 55. They were referred to by Andrius in the second presentation, and I have here the entire set of regulations and guidelines from the EU regarding Fit for 55, and 4 of these, at least, affect the maritime sector. It is the Fuel EU Directive, the Energy Taxation Directive, the Alternative, the AFIF, the Alternative Fuel Infrastructure Directive, and the ETS, the Emission Trading System. And these directly affect shipping and ports and have to be taken into account. But some of the major problems come from the commercial operating model each port needs to adopt, because the problem is that operating the grid and selling electricity to vessels are 2 activities that are considered by the EU, by law. They are unbundled. That means the grid operator and the trader of electricity cannot be the same entity, the same legal entity. And this must be maintained in the ports as well. It is always a problem whether the port will operate the grid or whether the port will have someone else operate its grid, electricity grid, and then the port sells and trades electricity. This haven't been solved yet. We have 3 solutions, and I have, if somebody needs, 3 hidden slides for it. But this is a major problem that needs to be tackled at an EU level. It's not only a Greek problem, it's an EU level problem. And then, of course, you need to have additional motives, because at this time, both the infrastructure is expensive and the electricity is expensive nowadays. So you need to have more motives. This is also a political problem. For example, the EU Energy Taxation Directive and the Directive for the Electricity Markets gives the ability to states to decide whether they will give a 10-year exemption on tax on the electricity. Not all states have the political will or the financial capacity to accommodate this suggestion. This platform has been applied at the port of Igoumenitsa, which is one of the 5 core ports in the Greek network. It connects Greece mainly with Italy. It has a lot of ferry passenger traffic, but also some cargo traffic. In that case, the platform has been developed. The project finishes in November. It has been financed by the EU. It allows for the cold ironing operations, onshore power supply for the vessels, battery swapping for charging smaller vessels, electric vehicle charging stations, energy storage systems like batteries, which is not easy to implement because also in a regulatory way, a battery is 3 things. It is buying electricity, having a grid for electricity, and selling electricity. So we have 3 bundled operations at the same time, so it's not very easy to integrate batteries for energy storage. And the action also does the cost-benefit analysis for the next step, which will be for the port to implement the system. The studies and the finishing of this action was about 1 million euros funded by the Connecting Europe facility. And apart from our team, also the Hellenic Electricity Distribution Network operator, the VF for Greece, participates in the project because they need to give us more capacity and also bring high voltage power to close to the port. This is one of the most pioneering projects, we feel. It's still, to paraphrase Kipling, far away from what has been achieved in the north, not so much in the energy platform as mostly in the fact that we still don't have any, apart from the pilot case in Kyllini, any other cold ironing operation here in the south, although we have studied most of the major ports, and in the next step this will happen. So there's still a difference between north and south, and I understand that Innovation Norway has exactly this aim to promote the cohesion between the two. I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I'm open to your questions. Thank you.
So if anyone has a questions, they can send it to the organizers and we will forward them to the professor. Thank you once again for sharing this business case with us and all the challenges and obstacles you're facing with. I'm sure you will be successful in resolving them. Our next speaker is Ms. Vesna Baltina, Deputy Mayor of Burgas in Bulgaria.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my gratitude for having the opportunity to participate in this conference in person after 2 years of online sessions. Today, I'm going to present our experience of a middle-sized maritime municipality that is striving to become greener, smarter, and more resilient by implementing inclusive projects supporting a bottom-up approach. The city of Burgas, with a population of 200,000 people, Burgas is the 4th largest city in Bulgaria with the biggest port in the country. Seafaring has a long history in the area. Greek ports of Anchiou, Apollonia, and Mesembria, as well as the Roman port, the Autumn, were important ports and colonies in antiquity, and the city of Burgas is proud to continue this tradition. The city has unique locations surrounded by sea, 3 lakes, and multiple wetlands, with 43% of its territory included in the protected zone network. This unique location means that it enjoys an amazing biodiversity of birds. 316 species are found in the area of 1 square kilometer. Having in mind, all the bird species found in Europe are 423. The protected area stands just 15 minutes away from the heart of the city. The city is directly on the Via Pontica, one of the most important bird migration flyway. For instance, nearly 18% of the storks on the planet fly over the Burgas. This represents both a challenge and an opportunity. Grow and develop the city while preserving its biodiversity is a cornerstone of the city's plan for integrated municipal development. The city is a logistic point of a pan-European transport corridor number 8, which provides a direct link between the Adriatic and the Black Sea coast. The major cargo flow in the country runs through the port of Burgas, which handles 60% of the national import-export trade. The international passenger terminal has capacity of 100,000 passengers per year and can host the biggest cruise liners. Burgas Airport is a major Bulgarian airport offering flights to 125 destinations in the 58 countries. It is open year-round, and in the summer, it becomes the biggest airport in Bulgaria. Prior to the COVID pandemic, it served more than 3 million passengers annually. Burgas is also on its way to become a smart city too. It aims to attract industries with high added value such as the IT industry, and it works in close collaboration with the IT community to make the city attractive to the industry. The newest high school in the city focuses on IT education and aims to prepare qualified employees able to rise the challenge of the future. In the 2019, Bulgaria, Georgia, Moldova, Romania, Russia, Turkey, and Ukraine endorsed the Bucharest Ministerial Declaration on the Common Maritime Agenda for the Black Sea, a voluntary bottom-up regional cooperation framework on maritime affairs and blue economy driven and owned by 7 countries involved. The overarching objective is to reinforce regional dialogue between countries and stakeholders to jointly address the challenges and opportunities of blue economy sectors in the area, ensuring environmental sustainability while fostering growth and promoting blue economy projects. The 3 main goals declared: healthy marine and coastal ecosystems, a competitive, innovative, and sustainable blue economy, fostering investments in blue economy. The city has included these goals in its main governing plan, the Plan for Integrated Municipal Development, which lists sustainable growth and accelerated development of the local economic ecosystem as its first priority. A key aspect of these priorities is fostering the blue economy, stimulating the local fishing and aquaculture communities, fostering entrepreneurship in the blue economy sector, developing maritime tourism. Modernization, innovation, and new technology will play a key role in the intervention during the program period. Developing and harnessing the local academic and research potential in the area of sustainable management of aquatic ecosystem and maritime resources. A priority for the period is the creation of a Blue Growth Research Center in 3 aspects: prevention and decrease of maritime pollution, preservation and improvement in the potential of ecosystem, and the development of solutions towards sustainable use of bio-valuable resources. COVID-19 challenges. COVID-19 has had a significant impact on society and on the local institution governing society. The pandemic led us, local authorities, to reconsider our course of actions in the cities, especially the way in which we provide services to the public. The planning of our operations, of spaces, and of all the projects for the future suddenly incorporated the concept of resilience and care due to the toll taken by the COVID-19. In compliance with the concepts of resilience and care, we promote our new vision of 15-minute city. The philosophy is by implementing inclusive projects to promote a more sustainable and livable way of living, concentrating on providing essential services in a decentralized way. As we have already constructed our small ports, which provide decentralized services for the local communities, came the idea of promoting them as smart pocket ports that are more greener, digitally connected to logistic, industrial environment, and that use technology as a leverage to sustainable environment monitoring, creation of a blue growth research center, collaboration between our scientific potential and the Turkish Thracian University of Edirne, monitoring the sea currents and how they affect the distribution of waste. A computer model map of waste distribution was made. The map helps to precisely locate the waste concentration points, which will allow for cross-border clean measures. During the implementation of the project, a methodology for identification of hot points and guidelines for environmental friendly management of marine waste were also developed. Waste removal, improving of knowledge for marine environment for sustainable sea resources management and achieving the goals of the blue growth. In this project, the main objective is the creation of a scientific database of a floating polymer waste as well as the waste on the seabed. Drone technology, as well as a robotic remotely operated underwater vehicle, will be used to study the port areas to identify the places with the higher concentration of waste. This robot has a maximum depth of immersion of 30 meters and will be used to study 6 polygons of the seabeds. Automated waste removal bins. Burgas municipality has employed innovative waste removal devices pioneered in Norway in order to remove waste from the basins of Sarajevo, Kraimorie, and Geneskele ports. The volume of device is about 100 liters, and it can collect 12,000 pieces of plastic per month. The municipality has also involved local stakeholders, including fishermen and drivers, to clean up efforts. This gives them a sense of ownership of the affected port areas. Smart operation and smart management is put to the special care that must be taken in ensuring that the port areas are accessible to all, including the elderly and people with disabilities. The municipality has also sought to integrate the port areas with the surrounding communities by providing spaces for art, entertainment, museums, and other touristic attractions. It also employs an integrated platform for monitoring different environmental conditions, including air and water quality. The municipality has also invested in environmentally friendly sea transport. For example, it recently commissioned a catamaran Burgas that is equipped with solar panels which provide more than 20% of its energy. Kraimorie is the pearl of Burgas, a newly constructed space with modern facilities. 54 berths for vessels between 6 and 12 meters in length, charging station, a sleep facility to lower boats in the water, automated waste removal bins, a camper stop for camper tourism. While constructing it, we used a bottom-up approach involving local communities in the decision-making process, enhanced the development of new multifunctional areas and different kinds of activities, cultivated marine culture of the population. Sarajevo. This is our big municipal port. 151 berths for vessels with maximum length of 25 meters, covered full repair dock, e-charging stations, using energy-saving LED system together with CCTV cameras. A camper zone is functioning. A physical marketplace for the catch of the fishermen is established there. We are in a process to make it digital to help the restaurants and hotels to book the fresh catch and buy direct from the boats. That will shorten the supply chain and will guarantee the freshness of the food. Cengeneskele. This is the most romantic and inspiring place, integrated with the surrounding natural environment. The place is focused on sustainable tourism and preservation of the local fishing culture. 40 berths of which 28 for vessels from 9 to 12 meters in length, charging facilities, integrated with tourism infrastructure that's offering museums, restaurants, art, and performance venues. Focus on preservation of tradition of fishermen. Foster rural innovation in port village area with vision to execute activities connected with startup blue businesses, helping themselves to become stronger, connected, resilient, and prosperous area and community. Actually, this project is our mostly rewarded project. International Award for Living Communities was given to the place by United Nations Department of Environment. What are our future plans? As mentioned before, fostering blue growth and developing the blue economy is a priority for the city of Burgas, and it is a key aspect of the plan for integrated municipal development. Digital Blue Economy and Innovation Acceleration Network is a project that will carry out blue hackathons to stimulate the creation of innovative ideas for the development of the blue economy in the region. A Revalue project will update the territorial transformation plan of the port area to include Mobility Island, to offer a new concept of mobility based around and offering a decentralized services and interchange point between different modalities of transport. To improve the connections between the different ports, a green sea taxi services will be introduced. The development of a common platform to reserve booking berths and to organize events at the accompanying infrastructure. The city plans to create a digital marketplace for fishermen and for hotels, promoting the citizen engagement in the life of our pocket ports will ensure sustainable management and sustainable development. The interaction of all levels and of all stakeholders will guarantee the intelligent blue growth. Let me to give the floor to the business, the Captain Sabev. He's going to talk about the cooperation between different stakeholders.
Yeah, very shortly. Thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we need more than just a blue economy and blue growth. Today we need smart blue growth that connect all sectors, eliminates the fragmentation. Eliminates the fragmentation that accompanies development and gives impacts to new ones, including digital technology. All maritime regions need a synergy between education, science, and business to release the triangle of the knowledge for the sea. The connectivity provided by the seas, all kinds of corridors, transport, trade, culture, are part of our daily lives, and the faster we transform maritime technologies to meet the objectives, of integrated maritime policy, the more effective our activities will be, of course. We're in Burgas. Now when we are talking about the intelligent ports, with new technologies, with new and different power supplies, as a part of the really intelligent growth of the sea economy, we try to talk about what kind of people these new ports need. What type of maritime specialist must be involved. In this respect, of course, what kind of knowledge, skills, education they need, what kind of professional standards they have to cover. This is what is our South Bulgarian Maritime Education Center is focused in. Our tasks to be solved to modernize education and training in accordance with the requirements of business, to introduce the quality and compliances with international standards, to develop more technologies. We have established our center which solves some of these tasks, especially to provide qualification of maritime specialists in the line with the needs and the requirements of the maritime business, where the training meets all intelligence standards. That's why a new base we developed, equipped with the vast and modern simulators, where the trainers can meet the theory and practice in the safe environmental. Our course, of course, to create a new maritime college on the same base. So then our goal is promotion of maritime professions, which to recover the interest of young generation to the sea. This is very important because all the industry suffered lack of people. So a program for professional orientation and marine careers is in use for the implementation exactly of the new skills for blue professions that provide mobility and high standards of achievement in the marine sectors. We are working for partnership between universities, business, cooperation in the project's activities is on our preparation stage. A program from professional orientation and maritime careers in use to promote and create new skills for blue professionals that provide mobility and the high standards of achievement in the maritime sector. So to ensure so to ensure the development of marine science, a center for risk management was created with the new technology, also equipped with research and rescue simulator. So all innovative models for the risk management in the Black Sea included. Our extreme experience in risk management in the Black Sea provides a basis for greater security and safety of achievement. The last one, yes. New agenda for strategic development of the Black Sea. Now the project is in line. So what will be the objects? The objectives. Integrated intervention for the development of the marine technologies, connectivity and commissions, digitalization of marine sectors, and development of marine education. And here is the triangle of the knowledge which we're looking for the new platform. Thank you for you, and sorry for the delay.
So thank you all for this comprehensive overview of Burgas city, port, and its wider area. We will have a short break right now. After the break, a few more presentation and discussion panel. Thank you. So we are resuming with our presentations and speakers. The next speaker is Mr. Morten Albrechtsen from Bergen port in Norway. Thank you.
Okay, we give him 2 minutes.
Havplast og tre. Ja.
Yeah, your feedback on the front. Yeah.
O koks iš kur čia eini? Čia gal jinai iš to irgi dalyva. Ai ne, čia kažkoks.
Ai, kalpa. Oi.
We can start.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Morten Albrechtsen. I'm CEO of the Port of Bergen. I'm going to talk a little bit about our work and efforts towards sustainability and being a smart port. A little bit about the Port of Bergen. We are located on the west coast of Norway. Our main business is we are home port for most of the North Sea supply fleet. We handle the dry bulk. We are a major cruise port, and we handle a lot of passenger-related business, being ferries and RoPax. All in all, about 2.5 million passengers are passing in and out through our port, and we have about 90,000 ship calls per year. The total jurisdiction of the port is tonnage-wise the second largest in Europe, actually, due to substantial export of hydrocarbons, being oil and gas, from our jurisdiction area. But this is not accounted for by the port. This is done on private berths. So our main business is cruise when we look at our revenues. Our colleague from Lithuania had some interesting perspectives early on being a smart port, and one of our main projects in that respect is that we are now constructing a new greenfield dry bulk port, container port. This will be fully optimized, digitalized, autonomous port, the port of the future. Distribution-wise, we will use barges, autonomous, fully electrical barges to distribute cargo from the port. This will be a break bulk hub, and the distribution will then be by sea to the hinterland with autonomous barges mainly. This to avoid the land congestion issue. The beauty of a port is you might have congestion at your berth, but on open sea there's no congestion. On the land side, unfortunately, on the roads there is a lot of congestion, and we like to avoid that. We also have a strong focus on digitalization and how we can use, and being smart using digitalization to increase the port's revenues. One of the efforts we are doing is that we are now developing a new booking system for the port, where we integrate with our order-to-invoice system, which will enable us in the future to capture all the value creation that actually is in a port. Today, there's a lot of value creation happening at the berths, which are done by third parties, and we don't see anything from those revenues. In the future, they will have to do this through our booking system, meaning that if a ship wants to order a berth, they need maybe tug, mooring support, bunkering services, crane, waste handling. It could be freshwater supply, disposal of sewage and grey water. Basically, any services. It can be third-party services, pizza delivery and hairdresser. It doesn't matter. If you want to do business on our berths, you will have to do that through our system, and thereby we will be able to also capture our fair share of that value creation. And I think this is important because being smart is also about making money. A broke port or a bankrupt port is not a smart port. That's the stupid port, right? So in all these efforts for sustainability and being smart, it's also important to keep in mind that there's a lot of opportunities to do business here, and we have a strong focus on that. For the remainder of my presentation, I'm going to focus on our sustainability work, but that also is kind of the one of the core views we have is that we should be profitable and we need to seize the opportunities that lies in being sustainable. And there's actually a few, and I'm going to come back to those. Speaking about sustainability and the sort of the efforts we made. This all started back in 2015. That was a turning point for us because we certainly got a lot of focus on air pollution in the city, and this got a lot of attention in the media. This actually is due to a phenomenon called inversion, which basically is particularly on very cold days, where there's a clear sky, no wind. You get this phenomenon where the hot air is being suppressed to the lower atmosphere, meaning any smoke, any steam, anything will then be suppressed, and you get it like you see. The port is part of this, of course, but not the entire reason for this happening. But we were the ones that got all the focus and the blame. And we really had to take one step back and look at our business, because being a publicly owned port, we are owned by 7 municipalities, whereby Bergen is the largest one. We also politically controlled, and when you get a lot of media attention, the politicians start reacting. And we were actually at the stage whereby we were looking at some of our business were in danger of being closed down, particularly our cruise business, which were very strongly associated with this problem, mainly because the cruise vessels are very visible in the port, which you can see from this picture on a day where we have several vessels present. So we had to ask ourselves, okay, what are we actually doing that is impacting the city? How can we improve? And how can we control this? And not least, how should this be financed? So we realized that there are some sustainability development elements in this. We changed our strategy. We said that from now on we're going to move from being the reactive ports to being the proactive ports in the case of our sustainability, and we want to put sustainability in the core of anything and everything we do. And that meant that first of all, we needed to start building some knowledge. We realized we needed to build infrastructure, and we also needed to create motivation and incentive systems for our clients, for also to motivate them to kind of to take part in this overall effort. But doing this, we also realized that created a lot of opportunities for new services. We had to revamp some of our services, like the way we handle waste, but also we realized that in sewage reception, shore power, hull cleaning, for instance, were business segment that we could develop and actually create into the business for the ports. And all this obviously is very closely connected to digitalization and thinking smart. When we started out with this air pollution issue, the first thing we did, talking about building knowledge, was that we teamed up with an institute called the Nansen Environmental Center, which is local in Bergen, but it's widely recognized and it's associated with the university in Bergen. So we had sort of an academic alibi to our efforts, and they helped us develop an atmospheric modeling tool so we could actually monitor what we were doing, analyze the port's impact on the air and the air pollution. By doing this, we suddenly started moving from perceived situation to handling on facts. Up to that point, it was all perceived. Somebody said there is air pollution and you to blame, and well, we didn't know. Only thing we knew was that, yeah, well, the problem was there, but we didn't know if it was us or anybody else who actually caused this and how to handle it. We established certain thresholds for air pollution, whereby below those thresholds we had to take measures. Either all ships needed to be on shore power or they had to move out of the city. By doing this and getting this in place, we also got recognition from the public in general, and having a third party actually doing this meant that you know that there was trust also from the municipality towards this, and we can start to look more strategically ahead. We started building infrastructure. We embarked on a huge program for creating or investing in shore power. I'll come back to that a little bit later on. We built a sewage reception system. And we also then embarked on this new dry bulk project, which will be then fully non-emission, zero emission, and sustainable. And we created new incentives for our clients. We set demands for the ships, and we also developed something we call the Environmental Port Index, which I'm going to talk a little bit on later as well, as a new business segment for monitoring the environmental footprint of ships at berth. From all these efforts, we have made two subsidiaries which has been very commercially successful for us. First is the Environmental Port Index. This, as I said, is a tool to monitor the environmental footprint of a ship at berth. It was initially created to monitor cruise vessels, but we are now expanding it to also other sectors. It's used today in 24 ports, mainly in Norway, but also we have Iceland, Reykjavik coming on, Portugal. There are discussions with ports in the Mediterranean, the Baltic, UK, North America, US, and Canada, who wants to participate in this. The way it works is that the ship reports its operation, and the tool is a digital tool is operated by DNV. So we have a objective third party that's evaluating the data, and they give each ship a score. And if you're above a certain threshold, you are getting a rebate on your port fees. And if you're below the threshold, you are getting penalized. So it's basically costly for those who pollute, and it's cost saving for those who are environmentally friendly. The second spin-off that we have is a company called Plug. This is for our shore power build-out. We started this, embarking this ourselves. We very soon realized that we didn't have the know-how and the technology to do this all ourselves. We needed a partner, so we teamed up with a local energy company called Eviny, who could then provide the know-how and the competence we were lacking. And this was particularly important for us when we started on high voltage infrastructure. That is something that you shouldn't do by yourself as a port. You need the right partner to do this. In the port of Bergen, we have today 18 berths, which is built out with low voltage infrastructure, and we are steadily increasing this, adding new berths. This infrastructure is mainly used by cargo vessels, supply vessels, various ferries, ro-ro vessels, etc. Then we have a big investment in high voltage for cruise, and this is something completely different. This is for the big boys. This is you're talking 6,800 to 11,000 voltage infrastructure, and we have this built out now for 5 jetties, and for this you need qualified personnel. You cannot operate it on yourself. The low voltage can be operated by the ships themselves, but when you get to high voltage, that you need a specialized crew to do that, and there's also a lot of commissioning involved with the ships. It's rather complicated. Our infrastructure has a capacity of 32 MVA, and that's enough power to supply a city of about 100,000 inhabitants. To put this in perspective, this is a lot of power. But also these ships consume a lot of power. You know, they are up to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 guests on board, and a crew of several thousand as well. So it's a lot of people, it's a lot of accommodations that needs to be supported. All in all, this has been a tremendous success for us. We see that the ships, they are doing there's a cost saving for them, because it's actually cheaper for them to be on electricity than it is to run their auxiliary engines. The port makes money on this. For the general public, the air gets clean. There's less noise, which also is a good thing for the crew. They like it when the ship is quiet and still when they're in port. So all in all, this has been very, very, very successful. To end it all, I was thinking I'm going to show you a video from our environmental port index and what that is, a little bit more about that.
Both passengers and cargo, but our industry still has the potential to become even greener. With the Environmental Port Index, port operators and ship owners can position themselves as industry leaders in the fight against the climate crisis, while enjoying all the operational and financial benefits of enhanced efficiency and sustainability. Global shipping emitted over 1 billion tons of CO2 in 2018. While most emissions happen in transit, making it hard to see, pollution during port visits has a direct impact on our local communities and wildlife. But together, with the EPI, we can make our industry greener and fairer for all. The EPI is a sophisticated reporting tool that allows port operators and ship owners to monitor their operational efficiency and sustainability. It does this by collecting more than 20 key measurements, including CO2, SO2, PM, and NOx emissions while at quay. This complex data is used to calculate an easy-to-understand EPI score, supported by clear and insightful reporting, which can help ports and ship owners to plan, implement, and monitor sustainable operating strategies. This not only has the potential to deliver environmental benefits, but economic ones too. Ship owners who are working to improve their consumption of fuel and other resources can review their progress ship by ship or across their entire fleet, helping to increase profitability as well as sustainability. The EPI also empowers port operators to promote a better quality of life and greener economy in their local communities, as well as to act as proactive partners to the ship owners who visit them. As more ports around the world continue to join the EPI, we can use our shared knowledge and resources to overcome even the most complex sustainability challenges. Now is the perfect time for your port to join our growing international network as we chart a course towards a brighter future for our industry, society, and planet. The Environmental Port Index, Greener Ports for a Cleaner World. Visit epiport.org to find out more and get in touch today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Albrechtsen. This is an impressive presentation and video. I believe a lot of ports can learn from your example and become maybe even smarter. Our next speaker is Ms. Alona Stepanova, and she will join us online.
Hi, my name is Alona Stepanova, and I am leading a PurOceans startup. We'll need to share the slides. Would you allow me, please? Could someone allow me to share the slides, please? I think we have a little technical problem here. I would like to share slides. Someone from the host of Zoom needs to allow me to do that.
Okay, the team is working on these technical difficulties, but maybe you can start without the presentation, and once they allow you access, you can move forward.
All right. So our startup is tackling a problem of water pollution, and we have a great mission to rehabilitate water bodies around the world. So today, water pollution is one of the big problems of today, and it's caused by huge oil spill-off that happens yearly basis, and oil spill-off. Both substances, they apart from floating on the surface, they are basically sink down to the water body's floor and resides there, creating a dead zone that is actually known as today. In 80s, there was only one dead zone in the world. Today, there are plus 500 zones, and this is the consequences of this oil spill-off and pollution spill-off. And plastic spill-off. So our startup come up with a solution to remove oil and plastic from a seabed by only air bubbles and pressure. So in this way, we're able to remove the pollution and do it in completely eco-friendly and completely safe way, without damaging flora and fauna of water body. Just want to see if we can. No, okay. So how it works? So there is a floating device that with the technology on the top that looks like an umbrella upside down, which goes submerged under the water, goes down to the pollution. If we infuse the air into the pollution.
Miss Alona, I believe you can now join your presentation on screen.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So just to come back to so about the solution. So basically, we're able to remove oil and plastic from a seabed on the depth of 25 meters, and we're able to do it with, as I mentioned, bubbles and pressure. We infuse air into the pollution, separating the polluting elements like oil products and plastic from the sand and soil, which gets stick to the air bubbles and bring it up to the surface. So it's a completely eco-friendly and safe method, and it's thanks to the elimination of a classical model of excavation, we're able to bring it at very low cost. And this helps to solve a problem for ports, for instance, that accumulated historical pollution of oil that resides at the bottom and with time causing penalties, as the existing solution of excavation is not fully solve the problem, as utilization is very, very expensive of excavated mixture of soil and oil products together. So our technology is on the tier 7-8. We have proven the effectiveness of the technology, that it's able to remove the pollution, the full total pollution of 98%. We have conducted 3 pilot tests that show an amazing result. For example, in the Lake of Como, we was able to collect 157 tons of crude oil at a depth of 12 meters. And next lake, we was able to minimize the pollution of the lake by 98%. In comparison with what it was, 100 grams of oil per kilogram of soil, we was able to reach nearly 2 grams. The latest pilot that we've done, a showcasing pilot, was a Port of Riga with showcase of 3 days of the technology and how it works. This is the upper part that submerged go under the water, and we have received the approval from the Port of Riga on the effectiveness of technology. So to summarize the cost benefits, thanks to the technology and the method of flotation, which is removing the pollution with the bubbles, we're able not only to cut cost on the lifting services, but also change completely the way how it is utilized, which is greatly translated into the cost of the project. Due to these benefits, we're able to reduce the project by 60–80% in total cost, including the utilization of pollution. Because when the pollution goes up to the surface, it is nearly without any sense and so well. Sustainable impact. Our solution has a huge sustainable impact on the ecosystem of water body. It's not only because we remove pollution, but we also mix the water layers and bring the oxygen to the lower levels, to the bottom where there is a lack of oxygen due to the pollution. And first pilot, before the first pilot, the lake was analyzed in order to understand the ecosystem and how it's doing. And the scientists has figured out that nearly or almost 100% of the fish was mutated due to the oil pollution that was residing there. After the cleanup, in 15 years, they have come back to the lake and they have analyzed the situation and figured out that only 4% of the fishes was mutated, which shows that the lake rehabilitated itself within 15 years after the cleanup. So to summarize our value creation of the technology, we're able to deliver a solution that remove oil and plastic from a seabed without excavation, which gives the benefits in terms of the cost and cut the cost by greatly, which is considered the most cost-effective solution at the market right now. Thanks to the new approach of utilization, since we are bringing up to the surface raw material, raw product. It helps to avoid penalties and comply with EU regulations and the sustainable development goals. Because our technology is totally eco-friendly for water bodies ecosystem, it gives a reputation to our clients like ports. And we are with the next prototype that we are building, we will be considered as a carbon neutral technology thanks to the solar panels that the device will be driven on. We also looking into the providing our clients with a carbon credit that can be the cleaning services and the speed up of algae production can be translatable in a carbon credit for the ports and for businesses as an extra benefit. So our market is huge. We're looking at the ports as the target customers to enter, and we see that we can be really helpful to them in order to solve their problem of for example, depths of the port, removing the pollution, and then they're able to dig and minimize and increase the depths of the port. So in terms of the market is very huge for us. Sorry. And our business model, we operate we operate in 2 stages. In the first stage, we will be we're acting as service provider, cleaning ourselves the port. And later on, we are planning to move into the licensing model because we would like the ports to have our technology and perform the constant cleanup services which is needed for the ports. And in order to do this, we are searching for another seed round of investment, where will be needed for us to improve our technology, to automate the prototype and make it simple for our clients to use, so it can be operated with 1 human on the board, and it will be basically ready for licensing up. So each port has the possibility to have this service on board and solve the pollution issue. We consider this technology to be as basically a vacuum cleaner in like a vacuum cleaner in a hotel, which is working with solving the pollution problem. Yeah, so our entry point is ports and waste management companies. So we're looking for clients within this field. Afterwards, we will be moving into the post-spill-off market, and that zones that is a huge market by itself. So our next steps, we are at the moment applying for the Green Deal grant in order to automate a prototype, because prototype that we have at the moment is working, but it's need to be automated in order to use minimum power of human power and have all the technology necessary in order to analyze and perform the actions in a much faster way. We have some awards received for the period of time that we've been active, which is 2 years. And we have raised so far 89,000 of investment. We found some lead customers within the ports and found some interest. And we are interested into making a full-scale commercial pilot test and showing the business case in Europe. So our team consists of 5 core team members and 5 part-time. We have two co-authors of the technology on board with 36 years of civil engineering microbiology and focus on the removing petrol products from water bodies. So they are able to adjust to customer requests and come up with a solution to tackle a particular problem within the field. Yeah, so this is our partners accelerated we made in investors, and thank you so much. And I invite you to connect and make our ports more clean and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stepanova, for joining us online and for presenting your case. The final speaker today is Ms. Birgit Reuden from Ocean Opportunity Lab in Norway.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be in Athens. We're all soon going back here as well for Posidonia. So I wanted to introduce to you our work and focus on empowering generation cleanup. And I think we just saw one of them here, and there are a few others in the back of this room. So I am Birgit, I'm the founder of the Ocean Opportunity Lab, and I have 17 years in global shipping behind me, working with next generation innovation, entrepreneurship, and of course, the green clean shift. So I wanted to explore and reach out to you today on how we together, seeing from the big established ports and cities and the strong organizations and the young generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, can go together and really enable the power of converting these young climate activists to come in and build and design our future as climate activists. No, sorry, business activists. Then I think there is a film, if you were able to run it, Sarah, that we could start with. That just introduces where we started the autumn of 2019. in November 2019, thank you, I presented this video just after we had redesigned an old Bergen ferry, or Askøy ferry, to become a floating innovation and entrepreneur lab. Then, 6 months in, and lockdown came, and it hit hard. And the early stage of our revenue stream came from meeting up and connecting the new actors with established one across different parts of Norway on an old veteran boat. Then we lost pretty much all of our contracts within a week when society locked down. And we were looking at either taking a pause or stepping up and just going faster to the digital part of our journey, which is really the most interesting one with the biggest potential. So just to start, as you saw from the video, what we work for and believe in is really that our ocean industries needs not only to cut 40–50% of emissions, they need to be completely emission-free and waste-free. We need to build the new business model of the ocean industry based on regenerating models that make sure that we put more resources on life into the oceans than what we take out. We also face a world with a huge need for talents to make this shift come. So we are in the age of talentism. We need global solutions to tackle global problems. And we say that in the future, the smartest minds will not be human or artificial, but they will be both. So we have spent time now exploring with our investors and partners around now more than 30 countries around the world to explore how is it that we can now connect the best of human, the best of technology in this space to take out the power of superminds, collective intelligence. So we are looking at how can we enable the clean transition, mobilize system change through global ecosystems and digital tools. How is it that we can map and match the actors and resources, such as you, the big ports, the cities, with the best and brightest minds and solutions, regardless of which segment they came from, or which city, or even which country. So we have looked at how do we enable these resources for the innovation journey of the ocean industry. So we have focused on a key problem, the innovator's constraints. I would expect a few of you, whether you have worked from the port side, city, from the government, administration, or from building a company, is that where can I find the right resources at the right time to help me really accelerate and fast track and fuel my solution? And where is it that I can enable sharing of resources that could benefit others? I am a resource for others, and I do need resources from others if I'm to succeed. That's SDG 17 in practice. And how is it that I can help others better through my network? So we have now spent lockdown and support from Innovation Norway and the Norwegian Research Council and paying customers to build the world's first interactive ecosystem map and resource matching platform for innovators across ocean industries, renewables, and circular solutions. The aim here is to ensure what's really difficult today, that when there are big innovation projects spinning out from the Port of Bergen, then it should be much easier for those actors to really find the span of potential solution providers out there. And when you are a young startup, such as the previous speaker, it should be much, much easier to come out with your solution, even when you have restricted time, resources, and marketing materials, to actually come out and connect with who are, at the time, your potential audience. So we have worked now at looking at breaking silos. A lot of the best solutions for the future will be between the established industry verticals of today, and also they will be best if we connect students with family business owners, with investors, with the small and the big, the change makers, whether they are in a big publicly listed company or if it's somebody who's young, still studying. So We have focused now on bridging the generation gap, work across segments, build, buy with and other for founders. So we have now built up a consortium of other complementary technology and sustainability founders. We have focused on borderless matchmaking and change from the inside, disruption from the inside, rather than waiting for it to come from the outside, and big tech. So what we have built is based on the cluster model, but it puts the brain in the middle. The innovator can be anyone. You don't have to be a formal official startup. Everyone can be an innovator. Anyone can be an explorer and a front runner. So we have looked at what are the typical resource interactions that we need when we look at it from the brain and the position of an innovator. And as you see, what we have focused on then is really with a tech for good approach to establish a virtual exchange, but where we don't exchange stocks, but we exchange resources at the right time. We have also worked, one of our investors is Tore Ulstein, who is an amazing, brilliant, smart guy running a shipyard in Norway, and who is very dedicated for the Norwegian cluster model. So we've also worked on how is it that we can take the world's best model to really fuel innovation, the cluster model, and take that into the next step in the digital world, where we can enable the industry's group intelligence. So we have explored cluster-to-cluster collaboration, whether it's across the regions, or if it's across the industries, or whether it's all over Europe. So today I wanted to take the port and city context on the European side. And what we have seen are some of the key current gaps to deliver on the EU's Green Deal and the Paris Agreement are these. We need to optimize interregional and cluster-to-cluster collaboration on green and blue projects. We need to connect ports closer to enabling innovators. We need to increase awareness and interest for the front-runner initiatives, for them to come even much more visible on the agenda. And we need to make it easier for students and the young generation and the port cities and industries to find each other, and also to inspire much more of the young generation to join our important work. And then we need to solve the lack of real-time navigation, resource versus need. And it is today quite difficult for an innovator like myself to keep track of programs and deadlines, and to also be able to find partners when needed. So this is what we have built, the tool spawn. Lots of pun intended. So this is the interactive map that can enable the global connectivity. This is Norwegian technology with Nordic partners, and we are now also looking more for adding on additional international and European technology and resource partner for the next steps. This is a Tinder, the beginning of a Tinder for change makers, where you have a one-stop shop to connect and empower sustainable innovation. So now it says 1,500. There are now more than 1,900 startups and innovators mapped, more than 1,000 only in Europe. And we have an active marketplace where you can go both find anyone, you can browse specifically on key areas, and you can advertise your needs or resources, regardless of who you are. So this is us on the mobile. You see that we have a typical industry initiative looking for startups, established spin-outs looking for innovation partners. The next level of our floating innovation lab is a zero-emission culture ship. And we have French entrepreneurs looking for yard partners and investors. So those are just a few examples. So what we have done now before this happening is that we have done a listing of some of the most interesting front-runner initiatives from European cities and ports. And then I didn't include Bergen because I knew that Bergen would be actually on stage, but some of the others are here. And then what we have looked at is the potential of connecting this project and the upcoming ones with supporting resources and innovators. So here are a few of some of the relevant partners that we work with that have active resource needs out now. Zero Emission Technology Association in the UK looking for innovators. World Ocean Council, on behalf of IMO, is now seeking biofouling solutions worldwide for a competition that we're running on Spawn this year. And we have companies looking for clean fuel pilot partners, ports and infrastructure partners for marine utility gardens, and so and so. And I know that Katarina is in the audience behind me here. So Clean Sea Solutions, they are looking for pilot customers, which is typically ports. So here is basically a span of opportunity. It is an ocean of opportunity. And we really wish to continue now the work we've done with everyone from the small startups to scale up, listed companies, family-owned companies, ports, cities, etc., to really now further nerd on how we optimize this resource matching moving forward. So we have also now started doing quite cool listings on innovators across clean energy and infrastructure. Here Beyonder is one of the examples, which is a Norwegian energy storage and battery company. We have created a listing for environmental boating and blue urban transportation that we have out. We have an overview of female entrepreneurs in our industries. And we really believe that if it's much easier to find each other, and if it's easier to know what the others need when you are here, or the other way around, then we can do so much more, much faster. So back again to SDG 17, and in my interpretation, individually we're one drop, together we are an ocean. And today I'm here looking for typically partners to team up with us across Europe, both for the further technology development, but also for the matchmaking work that we are doing now to really make sure that we can all deliver on the Green Deal, the Paris Agreement, and the new taxonomy requirements. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leuden. I would like to ask all the speakers to join me on the panel for further discussions. Since we are running late, I will ask them just one question. And if anyone from the audience has additional question, please join the conversation. Okay. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, it doesn't work. Okay, great. Let's start at the beginning. Mr. Langowski, you mentioned that one of your biggest challenges are EU regulations. How are you addressing this point, and what will happen once they're resolved?
EU regulations, yes, about drones and all those things. You know, in Poland we have our own regulations, and we must do everything in this way. So we implemented some of by the government some of the rules from the EU. To our rules, but it's not enough. So, but it's still in development. So there's many things about drones in the air and in the sea and on the surface and on vehicles on the roads, and there is always some questions about the safety, which I was talking about, and to safety to prepare the people. With this, and there's no regulations strictly for people how to operate when there is a drone or something in the air. The people don't know how to react. They don't know how to do what to to call someone, or to, I don't know, to government, to police or something like this. They don't know what to do when there's some accidents with this. For example, there is no preparation in Poland in our about the firefighters. There are a lot of accidents with the battery, so there should be some preparation to prepare the firefighters to fight with the fire on batteries. So there are a lot of things to do, and in our project we are trying to figure out how to make this easier for the people to be in such an environment, because it's going to happen, and every drone is going to fly over our heads. Everything will be soon, sooner than later maybe, and I think that we are not very well prepared. So there's a lot to do in advance. So I don't know, we're just waiting, and we are just preparing as much as we can by ourselves.
So it's not just about regulation, but also about education of workers, additional equipment potentially.
Yes, because from the education there will be a newer regulation. So if you will have some discoveries during the project, and there will be some thoughts about new changes. I think that they're gonna be implemented by the government, and maybe at the US states as well. So I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sutnikas, you mentioned that you received 37 questionnaire answers from different ports. What was the response rate? Did you send the questionnaire on 100 ports and this was just one sample of it? Was there difficulties with data collection?
You know, you don't say it's difficulty, but anyone who sends the questionnaire somewhere out at some point knows that the response rate is really low. You need to really work hard to get people answering that. So, but this wasn't a problem in general. Our goal was to really understand or establish the baseline to give a direction. Yeah, so I mean, sometimes we get lost in trends and we start call things smart, not smart, smart enough, and at the end of the day we need to establish the measurement criteria for where exactly you can start calling yourself names. So, yeah. And I think 37 out of few hundred was okay to set up the criteria, I would say.
And what about future plans? Do you intend to move from the Baltics area to other areas to collect the data?
I mean, from the project perspective, it's just one of the tools that I wanted to show. You know, basically where we're going into piloting, and we want to really bring on the solutions. But we really need to have those pilots to be focused on some specific aspects of the port operations. So we would like to have, again, the criteria, and that our pilots would be targeting improving the score or improving the index of every port separately, so that they, by applying maybe at some point simple things, they would grow into the score.
Great, thank you. Professor Mamut, you talked about the potential of Istro-Pontic area, but why do you think that we are lagging behind the Western Europe?
Thank you for the question. Of course, when we are talking about regional development and the ports from the Danubian and the Black Sea area, the first aspect that we are facing is about communication and, how can I say, binding the things between the players. For instance, I learned here about the fantastic achievements that the Burgas port and municipality are doing. Of course, I've been in 2018 at the European Maritime Day. I participated to the event in Burgas, and I've seen what kind of things they did. But very few people in the region and very few ports in the region, they are familiar with the achievements there. There are many projects running in many other ports of the region, but in general, there is not a sort of cohesion and, let's say, a port of connectivity between these ports. So the Constanța port, taking into account that is the largest, let's say, facility in the region, tried to play this role. They started some years ago with different missions to different ports, from Austria to the Black Sea around, trying to make some connectivities. But there is a need for something like meeting of CEOs of the port administrators of the region, make them officially, and something of substance, having different type of brokerage events and things like that. So in that respect, recently we have been awarded with a project is called Boosting Black Sea Blue Bees, and this is going to start next month. And actually within this project, we are targeting 5 regions around the Black Sea, trying to work with them and to generate this connectivity. Actually, last evening I sent a message to Birgit, but this is also a consequence of getting smarter and smarter. The reply came from her boat. And actually I was asking for a meeting today, but at the end I received some, how can I say, promotion aspects of the activities of this initiative, which is not that bad, but in reality, as I was saying, we are at this moment exactly at the point of generating this kind of initiative local for the Black Sea and Istro-Pontic area. So to map these inventors, to bring them together, to start working together, and to feel very good together. That's the crucial element.
Excellent. Yeah, maybe you can, after this event, use the matchmaking platform and discuss it even further.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Ms. Baltina, can you tell us something about the importance of collaboration between the city of Burgas, Port Authority, and the community? How they are working together to further develop the port and community?
Thank you for the question. Just let me to continue the thoughts of the professor. Especially nowadays when the war is going on, it's our territory. The collaboration of all the stakeholders is need to be more active, I should say, because there is no time. The time is running. And we have to, we, the politicians, it's time to start to listen to the scientists. Because I feel that we are speeding a car, and this car is going to break into the wall, and we cannot do nothing. But the scientists are the people that if they could not move the wall, they can slow down the car. So the cooperation, not only at the national but at the international level, is very, very important nowadays, because it will save lives, it will save jobs, it will provide food, and it's a question of security.
Exactly. Thank you for the answer. Mr. Albrechtsen, I mean, you are the gold standard in the industry, let's say, for the ports. What would be one crucial advice that you could share with other ports for further development?
I think the most important thing is to get started. What we see is that the legislature and the political environment is forcing sustainability. So you will be forced to join in whether you like it or not. And it's much better to get an early start and get ahead of things than to lag behind, because that will at the end of the day affect your business and worst case shut you down because you didn't pay attention. So I think it's important to get started and to basically map your business and see what you can do, and also to look for collaborators places like these, to see how they can also help you going forward.
And to be more proactive, I guess.
Yes, being proactive, I think that's the key to it. And I think you basically have to make a strategic decision that sustainability should be at the core of your business, because that's where the world is going. So make that strategic decision now and be proactive. I guess that's the message. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms. Leiden, I mean, it's impressive what your organization is doing. I guess the collaboration between different stakeholders is the key. But you mentioned that during the lockdown, you were basically forced to move to the digital platform. What if the COVID never happened? What were your initial steps? And maybe did you benefit from this situation?
Well, you know, we had plans for doing this, and we did a pre-project actually with DNV and Microsoft a year before, while I was working for the city of Oslo and the European Green Capital. But so we had the project in the pipeline, but we weren't going to start in the early stage until 9 months later originally. Mm-hmm. So we fast-tracked the entire process. We had our first digital Google sprint with Eggs Design, which is an amazing firm in Norway. Just a week after Easter, we brought in new technology partner very fast because everyone was so kind of scared and uncertain. Mm-hmm. So it was much easier to get deals done. And then through lockdown, it's been much easier for me as an entrepreneur with scarce resources, less time. You don't have the access or the opportunity to go around and travel physically all around the world. And a lot of the arenas where the big guys meet, they are typically kind of closed off a bit. Mm-hmm. So now suddenly everybody was at home. So I had the opportunity to get access to everyone. And the result of that is that now we have yard owners and ship owners and finance people among our investors. We have them in our advisory boards and even cargo owners and partners all over the world that we would never have been able to achieve. And then I wanted to bring in the next generation perspective, because we know that we need to go fast, and we also need to make it much more visible what's happening out there, so that we can learn from each other and join each other rather than reinventing the wheel every time. So we have also very strategically and very cautiously recruited a lot of young, fantastic students that are still studying all around Europe and also beyond. So they are also the ones in our team that are paid with digital internships and contracts to conduct this mapping. And they typically have an engagement and a passion for sustainability, but they don't have industry experience from energy or ocean. So what we can do then is that we both map the innovation of our industry and we connect them, and we also raise and breed a new generation of talents that has the combination of then industry insight and understanding. They learn a lot, they make a lot of connections, they build digital competence, and we can then deliver a lot of more new talents to go in to join our industries. And we believe that is really important, because those are the ones that will truly be the enablers for making the system change that we need to succeed.
Yeah, so you were proactive and used the situation to the best.
Yes.
Great.
And then I had great support from the soft funding mechanisms such as Innovation Norway,
of course,
and the Oslo region.
Great.
On the way.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the audience? No? Okay. If you have any additional questions, you can send it to the organizers and they will forward it to speakers. Thank you very much for joining today's session. I would like to tell everyone that after this event, after the lunch, there's a matchmaking event. You can still join and participate on the event. Use the platform, register, and schedule a meeting. Thank you very much.
And the matchmaking will be here in this room.
Great.
Great.